Hello and welcome. This video is brought to you by Forge College, and today we're tackling an essential topic for smart contract developers: design patterns in Solidity for Ether state integration. To understand how we link digital money with data on the blockchain, imagine you are programming a well-meaning but incredibly naive robotic bank teller. In this scenario, your smart contract's state is the robot's physical ledger. This is where the robot uses strict data structures, like mappings and structs, to record exactly who owns what. And Ether is the actual tangible cash the robot handles and distributes over the counter. Here is the core problem. Your robot might be a mathematical prodigy, but it has zero common sense. If you hand it real cash without strict safety routines, it will blindly execute chaotic, potentially disastrous transactions. To stop our robotic teller from making catastrophic errors, we have to upgrade its logic with design patterns. These are the essential, common-sense rules of survival for handling money safely on-chain. The robot's first major flaw is trying to use what we call the push method. This is where the teller frantically tries to force cash into the pockets of users who might not be ready for it. Pushing funds is highly dangerous. It burns through massive amounts of computing effort, called gas, and it handles failures poorly. If even one recipient rejects the transfer, the resulting error can break the entire contract, freezing everyone's money. The much safer and frankly more polite alternative is the pull pattern. Instead of forcing the transaction, the robot simply updates its internal ledger to reflect the user's new balance, and then securely drops the cash into a designated holding area. The user must then actively come to the counter and request or pull their funds from that holding box when they are personally ready to receive them. This completely separates the accounting step from the physical transfer step, drastically reducing the chances of a system failure. By using pull withdrawals, you shift the responsibility and the risk of the transfer off the contract and onto the individual user. Your robot will never get permanently stuck in a failed payout loop. Now we look at how the robot actually writes down transactions, because there is a steep trade-off between computing costs and data storage. Using mapping balances and structs to store data directly on the blockchain requires a command called an ssstore. Think of this as the robot etching every single microtransaction into heavy, expensive metal plates. While these metal plates are incredibly expensive to engrave, they are absolutely necessary when strict, provable accounting is legally or functionally required by your system. This table compares our data storage options, contrasting those heavy mappings against a cheaper alternative called event-only recording. We have mapping balances for on-chain guarantees, event-only for high-volume deposits, and struct entries when detailed metadata matters. Event-only recording is like the robot slapping a cheap paper sticky note onto the bank window. It uses far less gas, but it requires external, off-chain systems to actually read the notes and track the data. A solid design workflow requires you to explicitly balance these choices. You have to weigh the need for absolute on-chain authority against the desire for cheap, lightweight observability. This brings us to the most critical security threat our robot faces: reentrancy. Imagine a fast-talking thief who figures out exactly how to exploit the robot's rigid, predictable routine. If we program this sequence poorly, the thief asks for a withdrawal, the robot checks the ledger to confirm the balance, and then turns to hand over the cash, doing this before it has actually crossed the thief's aim off the list. Before the robot's pen can touch the paper to update the ledger, the thief rapidly interrupts and asks for the cash again. This tricks the confused robot into repeating the payout over and over in an infinite loop. To stop this, we use the ultimate defense mechanism, the checks effects interactions pattern. This flowchart outlines the exact order of operations we must follow. First, the robot runs the check. It verifies the user's balance on the ledger. Second, we apply the effect. The robot must cross the user's name off the ledger immediately, bringing their balance to zero before any money moves. Third, we perform the interaction. Only after the ledger is fully updated does the robot hand over the cash. We also add a reentrancy guard. This is a simple software lock, like placing a physical padlock on the counter, that prevents the robot from starting any new task until the current transaction is entirely finished. By strictly adhering to the checks effects interactions order and utilizing these locks, you completely neutralize reentrancy attacks, making your contract bulletproof against thieves. So our robotic teller has learned 3 core survival rules to handle digital cash and state ledgers securely. First, always let users pull their funds rather than pushing cash onto them, which avoids breaking the contract. Second, carefully weigh the heavy computing costs of on-chain ledgers against the lightweight off-chain tracking of simple events. This poster summarizes our rules, and the third is most critical. Always update the state ledger before handing over cash, following the checks, effects, interactions pattern. Mastering these foundational blueprints prepares you for the next lesson, where you will write the concrete code that links these transfers to complex nested mappings and complete order lifecycles. This educational video was brought to you by Forge College. To dive deeper into smart contract security, design patterns, and advanced Web3 development, visit us at forge.college. Thanks for watching, and happy coding!